Alrighty, Roman. So apologies again for the delay in the video. I know it's been quite a few weeks and a few sessions since we've really worked and gone into it. So apologies for finally getting this video out to you and letting you kind of see your swing versus Mike Trout's swing. So I'm gonna have yours on the top here, and I have Mike Trout's on the bottom, and from there, we're really going to get into it and just kind of point out a few differences in your swings, because I know we worked on quite a few things. Um, so we'll go from there. So obviously, very first session that we worked together is at the top there. So obviously, we made some adjustments since then, but here's both of them simultaneously. All right, so a couple things. First and foremost, right? The big thing that we have talked about is this back knee right here, right? If we were to take a look at Trout's right here, right? Trout immediately has his knee in this 45-degree angle, right? Now, vice versa, as we could see, what we have, and I know this isn't really going to be great, but actually, let's see if I can get a... Actually, you know what? This will work. But it's more kind of like this, and especially with our knee going out, right? Trout's knee is not going out. In fact, if I were to clear this all out, right, Trout's knee is actually coming forward, right? Versus our first movement is this knee's going back, right? So when we first talked about this, whenever we started with lessons, the biggest reason why we don't want to go back is obviously to build power, to build energy, to build momentum, right? That is our goal as a hitter. We don't want to go 2 steps back to go 1 step forward, right? Especially when you're watching the Rangers. You know, take a look at Adolis Garcia, Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, those type of guys. They have a very similar sequence in their swing that their back knee isn't going, right? So that's obviously the first thing. Whenever we talk about necessarily the rest of your swing, what we also talked about was your hands right here, right? I want you to take a look at Trout's versus yours, right? So Trout starts, if I were to put a line right here, right? Trout does not go back on that line, right? If I were to put a line right here on yours, you notice your hands are going back, right? And what we talked about before is there's one of two things that happens in your swing, right? The first one is that we kind of swing around like this, right? We come around with our hands, we go an outside-inside swing, right? Which causes us sometimes to pull the ball. Additionally, sometimes we sky the ball up. And the reason, obviously, for this, let's think about this. We separate our hands, and immediately, first movement has to be down, right? Now, notice Trout's bat path, okay? I want you to take a look right here. I'm just going to highlight it. Trout's bat. When Trout's bat goes through the zone, notice how it's not dipping down necessarily. He's meeting the ball on plane here, right? Yes, on this pitch, it is a low pitch, so he has to go down at it, but he's meeting the plane of it, right? Versus sometimes what your bat will do is you're trying, and you can kind of see it in your swing right here, and I think this is actually one that I think you actually did top, if I'm not mistaken. But if you notice with your bat path, right, we're getting to this point, we're having to come down, and then at the very last second, we're trying to get back on that bat plane, right? Versus Trout, notice Trout is getting right to this bat plane right now. Understandably, Trout's been doing this for a very long time, right? So he knows this, right? And obviously, Roman, you're a very young kid, and even for your age, you're an excellent hitter. Like, I can't lie about that. That is, you have a talent for hitting. And that is something that I'm excited to continue to work with. So whenever we're talking about this, right, understand that I completely know that you are going to be obviously not doing the exact same things as Trout, right? But the reason why I'm comparing them is to see where we want to be. Another thing also, right, when we're talking about this, I want you to take a look at your lead foot and Trout's lead foot, right? Notice your lead foot, whenever it lands, it kind of shifts around just a little bit, right? If you take a look at Trout's, once Trout's lead foot is planted, the only time it really moves is whenever he's shifting his body in order to get his hips going, right? Versus as soon as we start shifting our hands, then we shift. So really we shift 3 times versus Trout shifts 2. So we got here, boom, initial contact, right? After initial contact, then we readjust. From here, then we do it again, right? If that makes any sense. Additionally, also looking at your video here, right? I want you to also take a look at your back foot too. This is something I actually do want to keep bringing up because this is actually a good point that I'm just now seeing in the video. And this is also why I like to do this video analysis so that I could see some things. One thing I want you to see is the weight that we're putting on, right? We're kind of rolling over our foot here, right? Versus if we look at Trout, Trout's not really rolling over his foot. He's more so working into his back foot, right? Notice how he doesn't roll over like this, right? It's more so this is kind of his finish point, if that makes any sense. Outside of that, though, you're doing great so far. And even so, a lot of these things that we talked about in this video, you've made adjustments from. You've done a great job so far making them. But obviously, this is just something I want you to keep in the back of your head and always, continue to work for. So keep it up, and we'll keep working on it.